Here's the gist of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Axe always comes back, though. Like the cross. And the holy water. Oh! I gotta find a way to finish that off. Finish that off. Finish you off, why don't ya? Why don't you finish that off with a perfect stock, why don't ya? Cross always comes back, doesn't it? Oh shit, I think I'm dead.
This is a 2D platformer fighting game available exclusively for the Nintendo Switch, where up to 8 players battle each other as characters from all across the historical spectrum of Nintendo franchises, as well as some special guest characters. Unlike most fighting games where you have a health bar that depletes when you're attacked, Smash Bros. Operates on a percentage system. Damage dealt increases the opponent's percentage, and the higher their percent, the further they're knocked back upon being hit by attacks. The only way to win is by launching someone so far that they fall off of the level, or ringed out by getting launched into the blast zone.
Yeah, see? Oh, wait, what? Where'd my jump go? Oh, did I run off the stage and then? That was weird. Whatever, doesn't matter. You know why it doesn't matter? Because you're dead.
Movement is fairly basic for a platformer, but rather uncommon in a fighting game. You move left and right, jump and double jump, and can freely run around without being locked by the camera's position. Instead of holding away from your opponent to shield like in other fighting games, Smash Bros. Has a dedicated shield and dodge button. This allows you to become invulnerable to attacks for short periods of time, but forces you to stay still while shielding or move in predictable patterns when rolling or air dodging. On top of this, you can simply use the grab button to pull opponents out of their shields, pummel them, and throw them in any direction to deal damage. Not to mention that if you hold your shield out for too long, or it takes too much damage.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yes!
Listen, axes weren't meant for combat. It was meant for collecting wood and nothing else. And here you are, the mayor of your hometown, committing a crime. Using tools for illegal purposes. How dare you? Also, I'm dead again. Jesus.
Every character has fairly standardized controls and attack archetypes, but wildly different ways of executing them. For instance, pressing A while not moving will jab, which on some characters will be a simple punch combo, and others be a powerful blow. Pressing A while holding the joystick in different directions while on the ground will result in so-called tilts, which are more powerful and directional attacks. Doing so in the air results in different aerial attacks, and most importantly, flicking the joystick and holding A results in a smash attack. Incredibly powerful hits that can be charged for several seconds to build up both their damage and knockback. The B button, on the other hand, does special attacks. These usually involve items, magic, or various other special abilities from the character's franchise, such as Mario's Fireballs, Link's Bow, Sonic's Spin Dash, and Snake's ever-increasing arsenal of high-caliber firearms for eliminating enemy combatants. Cute stuff like that. The most interesting of these moves is the up special, usually referred to as an up B. This is typically a recovery move, allowing characters to launch themselves even higher in the air than their limited supply of jumps can provide.
Oh, nice.
All of that, and I just throw an axe.
Alright, you're dead. Wow! Get out of here, asshole! God, that recovery!
Can I be stopped?
No!
And thus the basic game comes together. Using all these different attacks, special moves, shields, dodging, and recovery, you're to knock your opponents off the stage more times than they knock you off, typically with a time limit or limited supply of lives referred to as stocks. Simple as that. Rather than a fighting game's usual method of comboing attacks together in ways that make it impossible for your opponent to escape, Smash focuses far more on using prediction, positioning, and platform protection to string together enough hits to defeat your enemies. If you can read how your opponent will move, attack, or defend themselves, you can kill them without barely dealing any damage. Of course, if you play in predictable, repetitive ways, or simply can't find an opening to strike your enemy, they can run you in circles all day long, living to absurdly high percentages.
Oh yeah, forward tilt at 128 from Ike. Ain't enough.
Watch out for the gyroid mine.
Yeah, but a watering can, you know, a watering can against Ike
Splish.
is enough to instantly kill. Ike's forward tilt can't kill a small dog at 128%, but a watering can can kill the beefiest man in America in fucking 5 seconds, no problem.
Splish.
everything in this game both feels and looks fantastic. Hits are made more satisfying with impactful sounds, fancy particle effects, and a slow motion zoom in on lethal blows in 1v1s. High quality stylized renders of characters present themselves before the fight, and battles end with cute victory animations based on the character's franchise. It's not just game feel that's been improved upon from previous titles, gameplay changes and additions add to a more complete feeling experience. Stages are now chosen before characters, a welcome change to strategy and in stark contrast to previous titles. A mini-map appears in the corner when characters are near the blast zone, showing exactly how close to death you are. And I could go on for hours and hours about different mechanics or concepts, like directional air dodge letting you get a little extra height or distance towards getting back to the stage, teching, which is pressing the dodge button just as you hit a surface with heavy knockback to outright cancel all of it, spiking, parries, DI, hoo-ha's, the works. Smash has such absurd complexity to what on the surface appears to be a party game for children, and that seems to have been on accident. Quick sidebar, let's talk about Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube for a second. This was the Smash Brothers game I grew up with, and I still have good memories of playing Captain Falcon matches on Hyrule Temple, spamming bombs at my friends as Young Link, and overall, just enjoying the game as it was intended, a non-serious fighting game just for fun. However, thanks to advanced mechanics like the ones I mentioned and the ubiquity of Nintendo characters, Melee took off as a competitive fighting game. Many stages and items would be disabled, the character selection narrowed down to the best of the best, and it overall became a serious, strict game while still standing out as completely different from others like Marvel or Tekken. In my opinion, this isn't a bad thing, and it's how I like to play the game nowadays, but that's the beauty of Smash Bros. It allows both styles of play to flourish. Going back to Smash Ultimate, there's plenty of content for casual players, and I don't say that as an insult. There's over 100 stages to choose from, ranging from boring but simple to creatively entertaining to, oh god! Many of these stages are simply too much for me to handle, and I'd personally rather play the simple, small stages with no deadly hazards on them. Thankfully, a hazard toggle makes stages that would otherwise be obnoxious more refined and simplistic, which is a boon for competitive players. There's a boatload of items that will randomly spawn throughout the match that can make you invincible, heal you, attack or blow up your enemies, so on and so forth. The highlights include assist trophies, which summon characters who didn't quite make the main roster to fight alongside you, Pokeballs, which do the same but for Pokemon specifically, and most important of all being the Smash Ball, a floating orb that, when broken, will grant your character their final smash, an insanely deadly and cinematically intricate move that is sure to kill anyone caught by it. There's also an optional meter that can slowly build this over time as you take and deal damage. Either way, these items are hectic, absurdly imbalanced, and a ton of fun if that's the kind of game you want Smash Bros. To be. And if there are some items that aren't to your liking, you can selectively disable those that don't suit you. But if you, like me, want to play competitively, items can be disabled in their entirety in favor of only using the tools provided by your character. Speaking of, there are over 70 characters to choose from, with only a handful of them being clones of characters that already existed. To give you an idea of the variation in the cast, some of my favorites are Simon and Richter Belmont from the Castlevania series with throwing axes, whips, and holy water to play with, Lucas from Mother 3 with PSI attacks and his adorable rope snake friend, Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter with a mix of more traditional fighting game controls and Smash controls, Chrom from Fire Emblem, Inklings from Splatoon, Ganondorf from Zelda, the list goes on. The sheer variety in playstyles, movesets, and franchise representation is staggering. No matter what kind of playstyle you have, there will be a character that supports it. That's how thorough this roster truly is. However, those booting up the game for the first time will find themselves greeted with a measly 8 fighters to choose from. The core 8 that were the headliners of the original Smash Bros. On the N64. Everyone else will have to be earned. This can be done by simply playing matches with your friends, as after a couple of rounds, a character will show up to challenge you, and defeating them will unlock them permanently.
Yes! Yes, Richter! Oh, fuck yeah! Okay, it's time. We have to get him. We have to get Richter. Alright, can't fuck this up now. You're one of the 4 characters I want to play as. You and I aren't so different, Richter. We've got whips and chains, projectiles, and shame. Please, Richter. Nice! He's dead. Alright, Richter unlocked. Fuck yes. Oh, this is a character I've been wanting to try since he got fucking announced. Fuck yes. Is that not Simon? Simon's also here, but I wanted Richter specifically. Because he's hot.
However, there is an easier and less interruptive way of unlocking all the fighters, and that's by playing through the plethora of single-player modes, or co-op if you have a friend with you on the couch. Classic mode, for instance, takes you through a series of challenges against the AI, all themed around the character you're playing as, and at the end you'll fight an appropriate final boss. It's simple, fun, doesn't take too long, and you'll get the chance to unlock a character at the end of it all. A great mode for beginners to get a feel for the franchise. Once you're comfy with the controls or have played Smash titles prior, the World of Light campaign offers a unique twist on battling the CPU. I won't spoil the progression of the connecting storyline, but the gameplay amounts to facing off against fighters imbued with so-called spirits, which are characters from any and all franchises Nintendo could get their hands on. It doesn't matter how obtuse, chances are it's a spirit. When a spirit inhabits a fighter, they gain their attributes through means of stat changes, stage hazards, items, and rule sets. For instance, fighting the spirit of Ricky the Kangaroo from Oracle of Ages will have you battling against a Little Mac who jumps higher and more frequently. The Poppy Bros from Kirby will be a pair of young Links who spam bombs, so on and so forth. Your character selection is severely limited at first, but as you progress, you'll unlock more fighters to take with you, which also unlocks them for the main game. It's a cute idea for a game mode and adds representation from more obscure franchises or characters across the entire spectrum of gaming, only slightly undercut for me personally by the sort of Gashapon style leveling up, raising, and summoning of the spirits. It's all done with in-game currency, no real-life money exchanges hands, but I've never really been one for this type of game. However, if you're a fan of Love Live or Fire Emblem Heroes, you'll probably enjoy the entirety of what Spirits has to offer. There are plenty of other offline game modes too, Mob Smash, Training Mode, local tournament style modes, it's a lot to get through. Of course, if you tire of facing off against the AI and don't have anyone to play with locally, you could try the, online mode. Look, I love Smash Bros. Whether or not I'm playing with friends or strangers, it's simply fun to string together hits, read my opponent, and come out on top. I've loved this franchise since I was a kid, but the way Nintendo handled online matches for Smash Ult is simply inexcusable. So assuming you've paid for the Nintendo Online service, you'll be able to face off against players all around the world. Now, in Smash's previous iteration, this was split up into two categories. For Glory, which was competitive rule sets on flat, featureless maps, and for Fun, which were crazy free-for-alls with items and absurd stages. The system wasn't perfect, but whether or not you were a casual or competitive player, you could generally get what you wanted out of online. This is absolutely not the case for Smash Ult. With friends, it's clunky but usable, creating rings with passcodes that loads of players can join, then taking turns playing against each other. There are some mechanics that I wish were made easier, like stage selection or Azure toggle, but overall, you can play the game however you want to with friends online. However, if you're playing with random people, you get random rules. No, I'm not kidding. Essentially, you select which rule set you would most like to play with, in my case simple stages, no items, 2 to 3 stocks, and then get matched into a game. However, Smash prioritizes getting you into matches with low latency over those with rule sets you wish to play, meaning while there may be a perfectly acceptable competitive 1v1 match waiting for you in the wings, the game will prioritize throwing you into a 4-person free-for-all with all items on random stages. This is bad for everyone involved. If you like hectic, chaotic frenzies with as many players as possible, then being matched against a competitive Fox player on Final Destination with no items won't be fun for you. If you, like me, want to play a serious competitive match, then getting thrown into a free-for-all I didn't sign up for, and still having my rank be penalized if I lose to some absurd insta-kill item, then that's no fun for me either. And to top it all off, it's not like this problem fixes lag either. The Nintendo Switch does not have an Ethernet port, and thus to get a solid wired connection, you have to buy an adapter, which you should totally do. They're insanely cheap and make online far smoother. But if you're playing against someone on Wi-Fi, you can feel it. The game will slow to a crawl or add an absurd amount of buffer to your inputs to try and compensate. Granted, this was gonna be a problem anyways, as the handheld mode for the Switch connects to Wi-Fi by design. But if that's the case, why bother limiting choice? If I'll occasionally get a match that looks more like a PowerPoint slideshow than a video game, can it at least be with the rules I chose to play with? This is by far my biggest complaint with Smash Ultimate, but thankfully I have plenty of friends to play the game with. I stream it all the time on Twitch, you should totally stop by. But at the very least, continued support and updates of the game leave the door open for the online system being overhauled. We already have DLC fighters and stages confirmed to be releasing over the course of 2019, and historically in Smash 4, adjustments were made to balance the game and make for a more pleasant gaming experience. And in fact, the online system has already been tweaked to lean more heavily towards finding matches with the rules you want, rather than the lowest possible latency. However, the fact of the matter is the core core problem still persists. But regardless, it's a good sign of things to come. So with an absolute truckload of content, characters, stages, items, and did I mention music? Because by God, the soundtrack for this game is legendary. And the promise of additional content, patches, and features, Smash Bros. Ultimate is far and away the best Smash Bros. Game I've ever laid my hands on. If you've never played the franchise before, it's easy to pick up and get the hang of right away, deeply contrasting the vast majority of fighting games on the market. If you do not already own a Nintendo Switch and have no interest in fighting games, I wouldn't say you should buy a Switch just for this game. But if you've already bought a Switch, regardless of how you feel about most fighting games, I would call Smash Ultimate a must-have title. Whether you're a competitive challenger looking to win EVO, or if you only play it for the single-player modes and to goof off with friends, there isn't anything quite as satisfying as facing off as classic icons of gaming history. Thanks for watching, and take it easy.